The city of Detroit has struggled to find a winner over the past 10 years or so, but has found two young and tenacious teams to carry that burden. The Lions and the Tigers are two of the most exciting teams in their respective sports, with the Lions sitting at 3-1 and one of the Super Bowl favorites, and the Tigers advancing to the ALDS for the first time since 2014. People are talking. Is Detroit back? We'll discuss all that and more coming up next on Motor City Connected. The first game I wanted to touch on, and the first team was just the Lions. I wanted to recap their game on Monday night. Obviously, coming in, the Lions are sitting at 2-1. They hadn't performed all that well coming into this game, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The defense had kind of been the catalyst for those two wins, and a lot of people had a lot of questions. Ben Johnson, what's going on? Why are you and Jared Goff not on the same page? Jared Goff hadn't been really taking care of the ball. The run game wasn't being utilized the way that we probably thought it should, but it kind of all came to fruition on Monday night. The offense was absolutely locked in. 42 points against a Seahawks defense that is not bad by any means. They have a great secondary. They have some good young corners and safeties with Devon Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen. They're not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination, but that offense, the Lions' offense, was just too much for them to handle. Clearly, we were more physical. Clearly, our offensive line is just superior to their defensive line. And we just leaned on them all game until they eventually kind of broke and we were able to break open the floodgates and score, I believe, on 4 straight possessions to start the second half. And Ben Johnson, he called an incredible game. I want to give him his flowers. I know people have been hard on him so far this year, but it seemed like everything was starting to click. The red zone offense was less stagnant. They were able to move the ball at will. It felt like in the red zone the past couple of weeks, it was a lot of first down passes. You get yourself behind the sticks, you're not ahead of schedule, it's 2nd and 10. You feel more obligated to throw the ball or make a big play on the edge. And that's just not how we operate. We run through the tackles really well, and we allow that to set up our passing attack and our play action attack. And Ben Johnson did a really good job of doing that today. Obviously, the run game itself, it wasn't anything crazy. Jahmyr Gibbs with 14 carries for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery, 12 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown. But just the way that this offense operated, it felt like there was every single player made a significant play in this one. We had 8 different receivers catch a ball in Jared Goff's 18 for 18, 292 and 2 touchdown performance. He had a 95.1 QBR, just really solid all around from Jared Goff. He did get sacked 3 times, but he took care of the ball, ate those sacks instead of trying to force it into a tough window, and he did a really good job, I just think, of managing this game. He is a game managing quarterback, but he was able to have a really big impact just being himself and not trying to do too much. Obviously, he has the touchdown catch, just an unbelievable play call by Ben Johnson to allow Amon-Ra St. Brown to throw the ball in that situation, and it ended up working out well. We've seen that Philly play work for multiple teams. Why not try it ourselves? That play has been in the playbook for months now, maybe even over years, and it worked out great. I'm so glad that they threw that wrinkle in. I thought that was a very, very great spot to use that in that situation, and it worked out well. I wanted to just touch on the running game. David Montgomery is a man amongst boys. That catch and run he had might have been the most disgusting, nasty, mean run I've ever seen. Just within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, he gets hit immediately and just rolls over Devon Witherspoon. Devon Witherspoon is one of the best tackling corners in the entire league, and David Montgomery made him look like a middle schooler. It was ridiculous what he did to that man. And then he turns it into a 40-yard gain. That had no business being anything more than a 3-4 yard gain. But it's David Montgomery, so you never know what he can turn those plays into. What I really liked about just the running game in total was the fact that we kind of switched things up. Jahmyr Gibbs got the most carries, the most yards. That kind of was the David Montgomery role while Jahmyr Gibbs was catching the ball out of the backfield. And that completely switched. Jahmyr Gibbs, he didn't even have a catch in this game, but he had 78 yards on 5.6 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns. We used him in the goal line multiple times. And then David Montgomery was kind of that first down back that we were trying to get out on the edge. Threw him a couple balls that he was able to turn into big gains. And just the versatility of this running back core is going to give defensive coordinators nightmares all year long. Last year, it seemed like Jameer was the guy that we would get out on the edge, and David Montgomery was through the tackles or through the offensive line, just kind of running it straight downhill. And now that both of these guys have shown off that they can do both, you don't really have a consensus guy that you're going to give it to it on 3rd and 1. Last year, it was always David Montgomery, but now Jahmyr Gibbs, his goal line package and his ability to get through the line has improved so much that he honestly has been a better option in short goal line situation, and David Montgomery has been the better option out of the backfield. I think that's going to kind of switch throughout the season. We'll see one guy kind of take over the offensive load as the running back, another guy out of the backfield. But just having that versatility is going to do wonders for this offense as the season progresses. Jared Goff bouncing back. He did not have a very, very good first couple weeks. It was a struggle. He had more interceptions than touchdown passes. We were able to win 2 of the games, but you scored 26 points in the OT game against the Rams, 20 points against Tampa Bay, and you lose. Or 16 points against Tampa Bay and you lose, excuse me. And then you scored 20 points against Arizona. The defense kind of won him that game, getting multiple turnovers, having a lot of sacks, forcing Arizona into multiple 4th down stops, and they only scored 13 points. That offense is good enough to put up more than 13 points 80% of the time, or 90% of the time, but the defense kind of held strong. So I'm glad it was the offense's turn to kind of have a breakout game, and that was the case. Jared Goff took care of the ball, no turnovers, 18 for 18, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, 95.1 QBR, double what the QBR he had in any game the previous 3 weeks. For example, he had 30.7 QBR against the Rams, 33.4 against the Bucks, 41.1 against the Cardinals, and comes into Seattle and ends with a 95.1. Just worlds better than where he was the first 3 weeks. As he goes into the bye week and we head to Dallas in 2 weeks, hopefully that becomes the norm for Jared Goff and he can continue to put up those numbers throughout the rest of this year. Yeah, I have not much to say about this Philly special other than that Amon-Ra's ball was absolutely on the money, and Ben Johnson is a maniac for calling that play. That's word for word what I had written down. In that situation, especially, the Lions have struggled offensively in the red zone. You throw in that wrinkle, and it has them completely off balance. They don't know what's coming next. They think, what are we going to do? Is there going to be another hook and ladder? Are we going to have 2 running backs in the backfield and have one of them potentially rolling out to throw the ball? Just getting the defense guessing is exactly what Ben Johnson has been so good at throughout his tenure here, and that continued again on Monday night. The JMO touchdown I wanted to touch on as well. First of all, just beautiful plays designed to get JMO in the open field on those crossing routes is crucial. You have to get that guy in open space because we've seen how explosive he is. He is one of, if not the fastest player in the entire NFL, and he needs to have that type of impact on a game-to-game basis. He only had 2 catches today, but one of them, he took 70 yards to the house. So just finding ways to get that guy the ball is tough because, teams are covering him with a safety over top, so he can't beat them. But instead of going with a straight line shot and having Jared Goff air it out, Goff throws it 15 yards down the field and Jameson Williams is able to do the rest. A note I had about that touchdown run is he started celebrating at the 30-yard line. He started high-stepping at the 30-yard line. His speed is something from a video game. The straight line speed he has, if he would have ran the 40-yard dash, he might have broke the record. He's faster than Xavier Worthy, and that's a fact. And Xavier Worthy ran a 4.21 and broke the combine record for the 40. Jameson Williams has track level speed, and he continues to display it. So again, get him the ball in the open field and good things happen. O-line was absolutely unreal in this game. It felt like every single run play, we were just blowing that Seattle defensive front off the ball. You could not have drawn up a better offensive game plan for the O-line, especially in the run game. They were just dominant. all game long. I mean, it felt like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery could drive cars through the holes that were being made in that O-line. Um, just great stuff overall. Pass pros struggled early, but they got more comfortable as the game went on. Seattle was kind of throwing some wrinkles at them that I don't think the Lions were prepared for, and they ended up getting home a couple of times. But again, like I've said, we need Jared Goff to take care of the ball. So when he's under pressure, it sucks that he takes a 10-yard sack, but it's a lot better than turning the ball over. At least at that point, if it's third down, we can get Jack Fox out there and let him pin him as deep as he possibly can. Um, Graham Glasgow, just shout out to him for stepping up in Frank Ragnow's place at the center position. You love a Swiss Army lineman. They're so valuable, so underappreciated, and Graham Glasgow is kind of that guy. He can play the guard positions and he can play the center. I mean, there's not a lot of dudes in the NFL that can do that and be successful, and Graham Glasgow had an incredible game, especially in the run game, was just creating holes for Demont and Jahmyr Gibbs all game long, and they were able to capitalize on those. 8 different pass catchers on the day. Like I said, just a versatile lineup. I mean, you have Sam Laporta at the tight end. You have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery who can stretch it out of the backfield. And then you get Jameson Williams' speed and space. Amon-Ra, a possession catch guy who's good for a first down whenever you need it. And then you get a big body like Tim Patrick, a speedster like Khalif Raymond. I mean, this offense is just built to win a Super Bowl. Like, every single team that has won the Super Bowl has had a dynamic receiving core, except for the Chiefs, really. But then you look at the Chiefs, and last year they had Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco and a lot of guys that can make plays out of the backfield, and that's what the Lions are kind of trying to replicate. A guy like Tim Patrick goes a long way for this type of offense. Tim Patrick is a sure-handed guy. He was on Denver's practice squad. We got him off of Denver's practice squad, and Josh Reynolds is sitting on Denver's active roster right now, and Tim Patrick has arguably been better and arguably has better hands. So we'll take that. Josh Reynolds, we love you. Thanks for what you did, but Tim Patrick is a better option in my opinion. I've talked about before how Amon-Ra is not going to be as stat reliant this year to be effective, just because we are so deep at the receiver position. So, he only had 6 catches on the day for 45 yards and a touchdown, but those 6 catches all came in really crucial moments, and he just proves to be an unselfish guy, and he's going to do whatever it takes for the team to win. So shout out to Amon-Ra. I don't think he's going to have the season he did last year, but he's going to be close, and there's going to be other guys that are going to step up, and this offense is going to be just as good, if not better. Laporta, another guy losing target share, but still drawing attention and being effective. He had 4 catches for 53 yards. That's kind of what we should expect from our star tight end. Maybe a touchdown thrown in there, but he doesn't need 10 targets a game anymore because of how versatile we are at. With Brock Wright, too. Brock Wright has stepped in and been a great pass-catching tight end for us so far. He had 2 catches for 13 yards in this one. He's a threat. So just having the versatility and guys that can kind of block and catch the ball is really huge for this tight end group, and it alleviates pressure off of Sam Laporta. He doesn't have to be that guy every single time. Defensively, we struggled. Carlton Davis and Terrion Arnold, they're new corners in this system. They're going to take time to adapt. They've been too handsy. They have to learn to play without their hands. I'd say if I was the coach of that team, they would play this entire bye week practice-wise with the hands behind their back, just shadowing the ball as much as they can. And that's going to have to be, we're going to have to shore that up if we want to compete with high-powered offenses. Seattle's a high-powered offense, and they still were able to move the ball, but a couple clutch plays here and there allowed us to hold them off for just a little bit and get the win. But yeah, definitely going to need to shore up those defensive holding penalties. I think we had 7 on the game, and that's not going to cut it. So let's get that right. And I think that DB room honestly played pretty well overall. Again, bend don't break, and that's what they did. But couple big plays here and there, and a couple automatic first downs that definitely hurt us. And then kind of wrap it up. Bye week to get Frank Ragnow healthy. Ife Melifonwu is on the IR, so we'll see his status after the bye week. I don't expect to see him anytime soon, unfortunately, but it would be huge to have another guy at that safety position heading into the Dallas week. Other than that, 3-1 heading into the bye week isn't too bad. We'll take it. A lot of stuff to work on, a ton, but great performance. Good teams figure out a way to win regardless if it's not their best product. You look at the Chiefs, they're 4-0. They haven't even played a semi-good game yet this year. They've kind of gotten bailed out by their defense a little bit, bailed out by a couple of penalties, but I mean, they win games. So it's good to see the Lions not playing extraordinarily well yet this year and still having a 3-1 record, especially going up against 4 straight NFC opponents. And last one I wanted to talk about, player of the game, Kerby Joseph. I mean, Kerby Joseph, man, this guy gets better every single game. He led the team in tackles in this one. I believe he had 9 total, 5 solo tackles, and then he has the game-sealing interception. One of the most best acrobatic catches I've seen from anybody, let alone a safety. He skies up there, traps the ball between his stomach and the ground, and it was an interception. If you tell me it wasn't, then you're wrong, because the refs reviewed it, and it was one of the most spectacular interceptions I've seen in a long time. So shout out to Kerby Joseph. Hopefully he can stay healthy and continue to be an absolute menace and just game breaker on the defensive side of the ball for the rest of the season. Now I want to hop into the Tigers, man. I would not expect to be following up the Lions win with talking about Tigers wild card baseball, talking about playoff baseball. Like, this is just one of the most improbable and unbelievable runs you'll ever see in any sport, let alone just baseball. It's just been so fun to watch, man. They win game 1 of the wild card round against Houston 3-1, and then you take game 2 5-2. Tarek Skubal started game 1, so a lot of people expected that to be an automatic win, and it was. I mean, Tarek Skubal was 6 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts, only 4 hits, 1 walk, no earned runs, 64 strikes on 88 pitches. He threw 88 pitches and went 6. Let that sink in. 64 of his 88. He only threw 24 balls. That's insane. Especially considering as a pitcher, you want to throw balls. You don't want to throw 100% strikes, because when you get guys in 0-2 counts and 1-2 counts, you want to try and get them to chase. And Tarek Skubal in 0-2 counts was throwing high fastballs a little bit outside the zone, and those were his balls. They were still really competitive pitches, and he was obviously didn't have his best swing and miss stuff, but he was getting ground balls. He got a ton of fly balls, and it was just a masterclass from him. When he gets the mound, we expect to get wins, and that was the case. We got the win in a crucial game 1 on the road, and it's only a 3-game set, so that first win is massive. So you get that win. I mean, the bullpen was very solid in this game. Jason Foley got knocked around a little bit, but Bo Brisky comes in. He gets the save. He has just been unbelievable. I mean, Bo Brisky, man. Division II pick in the 27th round, and he's one of the most important relievers on one of the best pitching staffs in the league. Shout out to Bo Brisky for just being nails as of late. I think Will Vest was unbelievable in this series. He pitched both Tuesday and Wednesday. He relieved Tarek Skubal on Tuesday. He pitched an inning and 2/3. He faced 5 batters, struck out 4 of them. Struck out 4 of the 5 batters he faced in a lineup in Houston that does not swing and miss very much. They're not a big strikeout team. You get Jeremy Pena. He has 3 strikeouts and 3 at-bats. Victor Carantini has 2 strikeouts. You get Altuve out on a strikeout. You get Yordan Alvarez. I mean, these are guys that put the barrel on the ball, and they just couldn't. This entire week, they only scored 1 run on Tuesday, 2 runs on Wednesday. No problem for the Tigers. I mean, you only score 1-2 runs, Tigers are going to win. I mean, early on in the season, there was a stat. When we score 1 run, we were like 7 games above 500 or something like that. So if we can score 1 run and you can't, good luck, I mean, this pitching staff is not going to let you get any runs easy. Nothing is going to come easy against this bullpen. So I wanted to just kind of talk about Will Vest on Tuesday, so which I did, and then I wanted to touch on Wednesday as well. Not he didn't come in and face five batters and have four strikeouts on Wednesday, but he still came in and was productive. So Wednesday we have the bullpen day. Seven different bullpen pitchers pitched. The only one to really get knocked around was Jackson Jobe, but Sean Gunther came in, was able to get the ground ball inning and ending double play to just force Houston to only get 2 runs, and then Tigers obviously with the 4 spot, excuse me, in the top of the eighth inning, eventually would be too much. Houston could not score any runs in the eighth and the ninth against Gunther and then Will Vest, and Tigers are headed to the ALDS just like that. Not a crazy offensive performance either day by any means, but getting the job done when it needs to get done. I mean, the pitching has kind of carried this team, but obviously, for many reasons, you don't succeed without your offense at least being a little bit productive. So, good stuff on Tuesday and Wednesday to just get enough runs, to get enough run support, enough insurance in order to close the door. Um, I think the unsung play of the day on Wednesday and the play of the series, like I said, was that Sean Gunther double play, inning ending. There's only one out at that point, and the man on the corners, they're up 2-1. There could be a lot more damage in that inning. Obviously, I know Tigers fans were a little bit bummed, including myself, that Jackson Jobe got thrown in that position. He's so young. He has so much inexperience in the big leagues. I don't know if that's the position, but it ended up working out fine. Sean Gunther gets the job done, limits the damage, and Tigers only down one at that point, and the Andy Ibanez triple obviously puts them ahead, and Astros don't have enough juice to get it done in the eighth and the ninth. Um, I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, but back to Tuesday. We got a lefty pitcher on Tuesday and a righty pitcher on Wednesday. I was much more nervous about the offense on Tuesday because Framber Valdez is on the mound. He's a very good pitcher, but historically has struggled in the playoffs, and that continued. Framber Valdez only gets 4 innings of work on Tuesday, 3 earned runs, all 3 runs coming in one singular inning. I don't remember if it was the second or the third. I think it was the second inning. And then, yeah, Framber Valdez gets pulled after 4 1/3 innings. Just not an overall great performance by him. 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 7 hits, 3 earned runs. He has struggled in the postseason the past couple years, including last year, and that continued. He couldn't get it done, and yeah, tale of 2 days for the Tigers, but you'll take it. You'll take 3 and 5 runs back-to-back days when you have Tarek Skubal on the mound, and then you're able to throw in your best bullpen pitchers on Wednesday. Again on Tuesday, like I said, we only scored runs in the second. We left a lot of guys on base, unfortunately, which we're gonna need to shore up headed into the Cleveland series. But we get a couple days of rest, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, definitely Tuesday we did not take advantage. But Wednesday we did. Tuesday we didn't get any run support late in the game, and we had some opportunities, and it got real scary down the stretch. Obviously, with Jason Foley kind of getting knocked around, but then Bo Brisky comes in and saves the day. Thank God we have Bo Brisky and Tyler Holton and Will Vest, some of the best bullpen pitchers in the game, or else you never know. That could be a completely different game on Tuesday. We could be heading into Wednesday down 0-1 already in the series. So it was really important on Wednesday that we were able to get some run support late in the game, especially with just the dominant performance that Hunter Brown had on the mound for the Astros early in this one. Hunter Brown was just incredible. He's a righty too, and the Tigers have struggled against lefties, been better against righties, but that was kind of vice versa. Obviously, Josh Hader comes in on Wednesday for the Astros. He's a lefty. We throw Andy Ibanez in there, and he clears the bases with a triple, which would eventually be the go-ahead runs and the game-winning runs for the Tigers. But Hunter Brown was just magnificent. I wanted to shout him out. He went 5 2/3. He only allowed 2 hits, one of them being the Parker Meadows home run that bounced off the right field pole. So, you can only give up 2 hits and you still might give up a run. I mean, that's just how baseball goes. But he had 99 pitches, 9 strikeouts, a really, really solid performance overall from him. He's a Michigan kid, went to Wayne State University, so I always have a soft spot in my heart for those guys. But I was glad that Parker was able to open up the game in the sixth inning, and then Hunter Brown eventually has to get taken out for, I believe, it was Brian Abreu who came in first out of the bullpen for the Astros. Um, but yeah, the Tigers on Wednesday couldn't score late in the game, no insurance, but that was not the case on Wednesday. We had the bases loaded with 2 outs, and we get it done. AJ Hinch, I mean, just shout out to AJ Hinch. I mean, it's just been a masterclass the past 2 months of managerial style. I mean, nobody pinch hits more in baseball than the Tigers, and it's worked out incredibly well. We won the game because of that pinch hit on Wednesday. I mean, you put Andy Ibanez up against a lefty, and good things happen. He's struggled a little bit lately, but AJ Hinch doesn't go away from it. He still plays the analytics, puts in Andy Ibanez, and he does the rest. Tigers were able to win it in large part due to just AJ Hinch being one of the better managers in the entire MLB. Um, but yeah, just overall, that was just such a fun series to watch. I mean, it had us on the edge of our seat, don't get me wrong. It was a absolute sweat. I mean, my heart was racing each of those 18 innings we played in the last 2 days. So glad we could get it done. I mean, I'm sure the ALDS is going to be filled with some pretty intense baseball once again, and I'm ready for it. We got a little warm up in the wild card. We kind of got that heart rate going, so we're gonna be prepared. We're gonna be used to it going into Saturday against the Cleveland Guardians. And then yeah, to wrap it up, I kind of just wanted to do a little Cleveland preview, talk about what we know about them, and how to beat them. We know they have Stephen Kwan and Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez has been a Tiger killer as of late, and there's not really any way to sugarcoat it. He has been absolutely locked in against the Tigers pitching. He hits a lot of home runs against us. He hits a lot of extra base hits against us. We early on this season we walked him 3 times in one game, I believe. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to pitch to him. We can't just continually walk him and let them get a free base runner every single time he steps up to the plate. They're too good at getting runners home. Their lineup is just incredible from top to bottom. They have guys that can hit everywhere. So it's going to be a matter of our offense and if our offense can match their output. Stephen Kwan has been one of the best one-spot hitters in all of baseball. He's got over 300 average on the year. Really good at getting on base. Really good at stealing bases. And then you get Jose Ramirez, and then you have Josh Naylor. Then you get Brian Rocchio and Andres Jimenez. They have a lot of talented players from the 1 to their 6 spot. The 7, 8, 9 kind of changes for them. It's a little bit different each week, each game. But that top 6 is pretty much set in stone whether we throw a righty or a lefty at them. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to get outs. And we did it in the Astros series, but I think Cleveland's offense is on just a little higher of a tier than the Astros, especially this year. So yeah, the good thing is with the ALDS is we have a couple days in between games, so you could see a potential. My prediction is Saturday. I'm thinking Reese Olson start maybe 4 or 5 innings and then kind of dip into the bullpen. And then you get a day off on Sunday, then you're back at it Monday. That's a Tarek start, 100% in Cleveland. That'll be a Tarek start. And then you have another day off Tuesday, back at it Wednesday for game 3. Most likely a bullpen day. Maybe you start Casey Mize and then dip into the bullpen. We'll kind of see how that shakes out. AJ Hinch is so unpredictable with that type of stuff. But with the days in between, you can get multiple Reese Olson and multiple Tarek Skubal starts. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. Who knows? We could sweep them in 3 games and it'd only be a 3-game set. But if it does go to 5 games, I would expect to see Reese Olson twice and Tarek Skubal twice. So that's really, really nice is that there's days in between those games. You can rest your bullpen. I think that's more advantageous to us than the Guardians. Obviously, the Guardians have Emmanuel Clase, who's essentially been unhittable. So the Tigers will be playing 8 innings of baseball offensively pretty much this series, with the days off, you can throw Emmanuel Clase in every single ninth inning. So we're gonna have to get runs early on the game. We cannot rely on getting run support later in the game like we did on Wednesday in Houston. This bullpen is different than Houston's. I wouldn't say it's better or worse, but it's different. And I think that Cleveland's managerial staff is just a little bit better than Houston's. So we're gonna have to play smart. We're gonna have to pinch hit in clutch moments again. And it's going to have to come down to AJ Hinch and that staff putting us in the right positions to win, because that's been the story there throughout the last 2 months, and I expect that to continue. Players to watch for in this series. Riley struggled in the wild card. I believe he only had one hit in the 2 games. He had close to 9-10 at-bats. Not great, so expect him to start to kind of take over that power hitting role that we know he has. I mean, he didn't even have a great series and we won both games. So the fact that we don't have to rely on him to be our only source of offense is really nice with the emergence of Parker Meadows. And we have Trey Sweeney and Jake Rogers starting to pick up their bats at the back end of the lineup. So hopefully Riley Green can start to pick back up that power. He's due for a home run or a couple extra base hits. So watch out for him in this series. I think he's going to have a good game day one against Tanner Bybee, but we'll see. Yeah, I didn't mention that, but Tanner Bybee is set to start game one on Saturday for Cleveland just because they weren't in the wild card. They got the automatic bye. Their pitching lineup is pretty much already set in stone for them, at least for the first couple of games of the series. So we'll see Bybee on Saturday, and the rest of the series, we'll see how that shakes out. Another guy to watch in this series, Reese Olson. He should get an extended start like I talked about earlier. He's a ground ball machine. Last outing he had, I think he got knocked around a little bit, but they were all ground balls. There was nothing hit hard. It was just unlucky. They got through the gap. So hopefully Reese Olson can continue to induce ground balls against a really good power hitting lineup in Cleveland. And hopefully he can get J-Ram and Josh Naylor and Steven Kwan to start grounding into double plays and grounding out more, maybe get some pop flies, and go up potential 4 or 5 innings and relieve our bullpen of having to use too many guys. And then the last guy I had was Jason Foley. He comes in on Tuesday. He struggles. Yordan Alvarez almost hits the home run off of him, just short of a home run, bounces off the wall. But Jason Foley needs to be a guy, because we have Bo Brisky and Will Vest and Tyler Holton, who have proved down the stretch that they're ready for postseason baseball. Adding Jason Foley to that mix as the closer is just such a crucial aspect to this bullpen, and we need him. We need him to be able to go. We don't have the luxury of saying, oh, Jason's not feeling it right now, we can throw another guy in the ninth. We don't have that. Our starting pitching isn't deep enough where we can have that luxury, so we need Jason Foley to be on his best game come to this Cleveland series. If he is, we will win this series. If our bullpen pitches the way it has, and some of the guys who have, kind of fallen off a little bit start to pick it back up, this is a really dangerous bullpen to face. And if you're a manager, you do not want to have to you don't want to have to plan against a team that throws in different bullpen pitchers every inning. That's so hard to prepare for. It's so hard to build a lineup geared towards that, because you just don't know what we're going to throw at you. So this is the biggest series of playoff baseball that I've seen in the last 10 years since I was a little kid. This is exciting. So take every game with go into every game with a positive mindset, because you never know. This could be our last playoff series for a while. Who knows what this team's going to look like next year? So hopefully, we can continue to play free. The young guys can continue to play how they've been playing and just go with the flow of the offense and play unselfish, not have a solidified star and just have everybody contributing to the success. We will find success down the stretch of the season. We will be able to make a run in this postseason. So shout out the Tigers, man. Shout out AJ Hinch. Shout out the Lions. That city of Detroit is absolutely on fire, and I wish I was there. If you are listening to this and you have the chance to go catch out a playoff game at Comerica, do it. You will not regret it, I promise. Especially if Tarek Skubal starts game 3. That game is going to be very fun to go watch. So head down to Comerica this week, cheer on the Tigers for me, and let's go get a series win. Let's have a good bye week for the Lions, and they can hopefully get back to full strength going into Dallas, and let's go advance to the ALCS, man. This has been Motor City Connected with Kyle Garrison. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.